Right. So yesterday we saw loops, right? How to use loops and the two types of loops that we have in Python. Today we'll practice some programs using for loop. See, in reality, you'll be you'll be working with complex program. And now when I say complex, it doesn't mean that logic is complex. It just means that the number of lines of code that you'll be writing will be more, right? Now, you can't write 100 lines of code without writing first 2 lines, right? Or first 10 lines, 20 lines. So never think of that end goal. Okay. Always start with, it's like buffet when you go for a lunch, right? Now you have a lot of things. If you think that, oh God, I have to eat so many things, you won't be able to eat. But what you should do is you should try one, then second thing, then third, so on, right? And then you'll be able to taste and eat almost everything. So same thing happens in programming. Okay. Never think of designing the entire thing. You first break that problem into smaller pieces. Okay. And then you build on it. So you build the core and then you keep on building a layer and on top of it. Okay. So we'll take some examples today and next session where we will slowly start building. So we'll write 2 lines of code, then we'll make it 4 lines, 6 lines, 8 lines, and we'll keep on increasing or put a wrapper around it. Okay. And finally, we get to see a good working program, right? And that's how the approach should be. Okay. So when you hear that write a program to develop student management software, so instead of getting scared of what is student management software, think of what are the components in student management software. Okay, what is the key of common part of all the uh, modules? And you build that common part. Then you build the next part and so on. Okay, so let's try some examples today. And I'm going to use for loop, obviously. Okay, now for loop is used when we know exactly how many times I need to run a loop, right? I want to print, say, 5 times something. So something has to be put in for loop so that you get 5 times something, correct? Now let's take an example here. I just want to print a single star. Now, if I print a single star, you say print star and you get a star here. Now I want to print this 5 stars. Then what will I do? I will go here and I'll say n equal to 5, right? And I'll say for I in range n, correct? And I will push this print inside this for loop. Okay, so you get 5 stars, right? Simple. Now I want to get these 5 stars in same line, let's say. Okay, so if I want to get this stars in same line, I will say here end equal to, correct? And I'll give a space here so that when stars are printed, there'll be space in between. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to modify this program to print 5 square of stars. So 5 stars, each row has 5 and I need 5 rows. Each row has 5 and I need 5 rows of stars, correct? Now this, okay, or these lines, right? These 2 lines, okay, prints 1 star. Now, if I repeat same thing 5 times, If I repeat same thing 5 times, I'm going to get 5 stars, right? So this is okay. So these lines is responsible for printing one line of star. These two lines are responsible for printing one line of star. So if I need 5 lines, what should I do? I need to repeat these 5 times. Okay, I need to repeat these 5 times. So I will say here for j in range 5. Okay, so and I'll push them inside. So this is just like you have nested conditions, nested if, we have nested loops, nested for loop. Nested for loop means one for loop inside another for loop. Okay, now you see, this is responsible for printing your star, and this is responsible for making it move line by line, one row at a time, right? This is printing the star, and it says, okay, you go and print it 5 more times. So now when I run it, so you get 5 into 5, 25 stars. But the problem is we all got in same line because we used end equal to here. Now, after doing the inner work, after printing the one row, before you go with second row, you have to change the line. So I need to put a dummy print so that it changes the line, right? So, so we have 2 rows here, right? Which I mean 2 loops here, right? Which for loop, okay, is responsible for actual printing of star? It's a question I'm asking you.
Inner loop.
Inner loop, I, correct. And which is responsible for making sure that you move from one row to another?
The J.
J. J is making sure that you go line by line. You print one line, then the next, so on. So you are you are printing star, okay, using this print, okay, and you are making sure that you change the line at the right time using outer. So what happens here? Okay, I'll take you to paint for a second. So here you have outer loop. Generally, this is what you are saying 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times. But now what happens? Here you are saying 5 times, but now you got another loop. So the inside loop says 5 times, so you'll complete this 5 times. So once you complete this outer loop, one outer loop is equal to this 5 times inner loop, because you have to run the inner loop completely, right? Then again you come for the second round. Again you have to run 5 times. Again, you come for third time. Again you have to run 5 times. So it's like this. Let's say, you have a, you have a big stadium, right? And then inside that you have a smaller stadium. Now, to make a one full circle of this stadium, you have to make one circle of this, right? But here the condition is that when you come here, you have to run 5 times. So to complete one full circle, you have to have 5 times inner circle, right? Same thing. And you can have, again, one more level of nesting. So one outer, then second inner, okay, or inner, I mean, second, right? We'll have one more here 5 times. So you complete this 5 times, then you go and you complete again. One more round means again you're coming here, right? So now let's go back. So in the third case, what I'm trying to say is, okay, if you have three loops, right? Outer, second, and third, okay, and let's say if outer loop has range of 5, inner has range of 7, and the third one has range of 4, then totally how many times are you running the entire loop? How many rounds are you making? So see, one round of this is equal to 7 rounds of this. And one round of this equal to 4 rounds of inner. So to make one full round of outer, I need to make 7 rounds of inner, second level. And to make 7 rounds of inner, I have to make 28 rounds of innermost. One round of outer is equal to 7 rounds. But one round of this is equal to 4 rounds. So 7 rounds of this will be equal to 28 rounds. So one full round is equal to 28 rounds. So answer will be 28 into 5. That many times your loop will run. The 5 into 7 into 4. Okay. So here you have 5 and 5. So it's going to run 25 times. Clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So now you have, you got this pattern here. Now let's say I want to create another pattern. Okay. I will copy entire thing. Okay. So I want only one star in first row. I want only 2 in second. I want only 3 in third. I want only 4 in 4 and 5 in 5. Okay. Now see, printing is done using inner loop and your number of rows is handled by the outer. That's what you said, right? So now you tell me, first of all, should we change? See, we have to make changes to this loop because the output is different. The question is, should we change only one among these two, or we should change both? Okay, before we actually change, you tell me, what do you think by looking at the problem statement? Should we change one or both? And if the answer is one, then next question will be which one, right? Outer or inner? But first you answer me, should we change both or one?
Whole.
I feel one.
Have to change whole.
So if answer is one, which one?
For me, one is second one. The
Exactly. Your number of rows are not changing, right? Here also you have 5 and here also you have 5. So the number of rows you are not changing. So outer will not change. This is what is taking care of number of rows. You still have to go 5 times, right? 5 rows. So you don't have to change this outer because outer is taking care of the number of rows, number of lines, number of rows. So here also you have 5 rows. So your outer will not have any impact or any change. What will change is your inner loop, of course, because you are printing only 1, then 2, then 3, right? Now this n, which is fixed value in the previous case, okay, has to be dynamic. Means it should start with 1, okay, in one iteration. Then it should become 2 in second iteration. Then should become 3 in third iteration. Then should become 4 in fourth iteration. And then should become 5 in fifth iteration. How can we make this dynamic? The one option is I will have one variable called number of stars, okay, equal to 1. And I will put this here, number of stars. Now, if I run it, what happens? It will print only 1, right? Because number of stars is 1, so it prints 1. After printing one row, after you are done, right? When you are changing the line, okay, before or after changing the line, I will say number of stars plus equal to 1. So next row, it should become 2, then 3, so on. So see, you got this. Again, I told you, Okay, not to worry about getting things right in the first attempt. You try, you see the output, then you should be able to know which line is creating problem. You should go and focus on that line. Okay. So it's not that programming you will get it in first attempt. You try whatever you think is right. And if it is right, of course, you get the correct output. If it is not, then you go back and change, right? So now I know that, okay, this one has to be dynamic. How can we make it dynamic? So starting is one, and then before you go for next round, next iteration of outer, next row, first row one done. Before you start the second row, I need to change the value number of stars to one, then two. Now, question is there a way we can do it without using extra variable? So answer is yes, because you see this j, right? In first iteration, j is 0, right? Range 5 will generate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So j is 0 in first iteration. J is 1 in second iteration, 2 in third iteration. So j is also dynamic. Can we reuse j value here? Answer is yes. Because j is first 0, right? I'll say j plus 1. Then I can avoid this third iteration. Same concept. In first iteration, j is 0. So I'm saying 0 plus 1. So it works. In second iteration, your j becomes 1. So it becomes 1 plus 1, 2. Makes sense, right?
Makes sense. Swapnil, I have one question.
Mhm.
Can we utilize in the for example, I is there, right? In the range also we can have I plus 1. We can utilize the same
No, no.
variable in the range as well? Or is it any syntactical issues there?
No, you're saying here?
Yeah.
No, how
Yeah,
can you say
instead.
here? I is taking value from here, right? I
No,
itself is taking value from here.
no, I got the what your programming, but syntax wise, we can still utilize I in the range in the for loop or no?
No, which you can use, right? But the
You can use, okay, yeah, no, that's what.
yeah, yeah,
But I understood the program what you're saying.
huh. See, you can use I for sure. Okay, you can use
Okay,
I
okay,
in
okay.
the variable, but you have to be very careful. Okay, how the value is changing,
Yes,
right?
yes, it will
So, for example,
change.
if you take J here, J is assigned 0 first case,
Correct.
and it will be 0 for the entire loop. Comes back here, now J becomes 1,
Yep,
and it will be 1 for the entire execution of this. Then comes
makes
back and
sense.
j
Yeah,
becomes, yeah. So similarly, I becomes 0. It will remain 0 for the inner, like here we have only one line, correct? Then it
yeah,
comes back, becomes 1, right? So on.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you get your stars again. Okay. Now let's do something different. Okay. Now I want to have 5 stars and 4 stars and 3 stars and 2 stars and 1 star. Okay, same program, but I want to reverse the number of stars. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. So you can start n with 1.
We need to start with 5, isn't it?
Oh, reverse way. Okay, okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So it should be 5, then 4, then 3, then 2. Again, same similar case. We don't have to change J here. We don't have to change J because number of rows is still 5. We need 5 rows. So we don't have to change J. Printing we have to change, right? This range has to change. So this range has to
This one.
5, then it should become 4, then 3. Okay. Then 3, 2, 1, so on. How do we make that?
Decrease n counter.
Sorry?
Decrease the n counter.
Decrease the counter, I counter here. How do we decrease it?
N minus equal to 1.
So n is 5 minus j. Because j is initially 0, right? So 5 minus 0 is 5. And first time we need 5 only. Second time it becomes 5 minus j becomes 1. 5 minus 1, 4. Exactly that. This is what we want. So now when you run it, you see, you get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? So start with 5 minus 0, right? 5. Then 5 minus 1. So j is changing from 0 to 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let's try something different. I want to have same program, okay, something like this. Not a rectangle triangle, but let's say isosceles triangle, right? Now you tell me, how is this different than the previous example, this? How is this pattern different than this pattern? Here also you have 5 to 1, there also you have 5 to 1.
The print space has to be done.
Yes. Okay. In second case, you also have to print space. In first case, we never worried about spaces, right? We wanted to print star, we only printed star. But here, okay, you have star as well as space. So if you think, okay, you see this space is like this program, right? 1 to 5. You are printing spaces 1 to 5, correct? And you're printing star 5 to 1. So you're combining previous two programs together. So first you print space, then you print star, right? Space, star. Every row you're doing space and star. And space and star is at same level. It's not nesting. They're at same level. Okay. So let's go and see this. Now this is going to print your star. Okay. So now when I run it, of course, this is printing our star. Now, before I print star, I need to print space. Before I print star, right? This is where we're printing star. Before we print star, we need to print space. And space is from 0 to 4, not 1 to 5, 0 to 4. So if I say for k in range j, good enough, right? Because j starts from 0 to 4, we want 0 to 4 only. First row, we don't want any space. Second row, we want one single space. So I will say print, and instead of star, I will say space. That's it. So you're printing space, and then same line you're printing star. So first, this is to print how many spaces you want. Okay, 0 space. So 0 time this will run. Then n minus like 5 minus 0, 5 times star will be printed. Then next time it is 1 time and 4, right? So on. So this is how you can get this pattern. Clear? Any question here? Now I'm going to give you the assignment. It's not assignment, it's a practice thing. Assignment, I will upload it on the in the document. So practice is, I want you to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is your practice program. Very small change you have to make, that's it. And you will get it. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll move this to next file and you will have access to these anyways. Now, let's do something more. I want to create a multiplication table. Okay. I want to create multiplication table. So you have like, 1 into 1 equal to 1, right? 2, so it is 1 into 2 equal to 2. This is how you write, correct? And then next to it, I want to write 2's table. 2 into 1 equal to 2. 2 is to 2 equal to 4. Okay, so on. Let's say 10 is to 1 equal to 10, right? And so on up to, right? So we can say 10 is to 10 equal to 100, right? So I want to create multiplication table from 1 to 100. I want to print it on the same screen. So as I said, let's first focus on one single portion. And then we'll keep doing, we'll put a wrapper around that. So first we'll create this 1 into 1. So how do you create 1 into 1? Now let's say table is for one table and then you have multiplier, right? Let's say is 1. So table is 1, multiplier is 1. So you will say print, okay? You have table into multiplier equal to table into multiplier. So see this? So print table into multiplier equal to table into multiplier. So this value will come, which is 1. This value will come, which is 1. And now, first we are performing the formula, right? So we are calculating. Calculation is done before putting the square or curly bracket. So it will be multiplied 1 into 1 and you get entire thing as output. So when I run it, so you get 1 into 1. So our first thing is met. Now what should we do? Now you see, it is 1 into 1, 2 into 1, 3, very similar to the star pattern. See, if you understand those 4, 5, star pattern, any for loop you can understand. All the for loops that you're going to do in your life will be one of those 5 patterns only. Okay. So now you see, this is like, okay, your table should change. Table is 1 table, then second table, 2 table, 3 table, 4 table, 5 table. Table should change. Okay. Now which changes fast? Inner loop changes fast or outer loop changes fast? Inner loop changes fast, right? Yes. One outer loop is like 7 times. Second outer loop is again 7. So, so here I need to change tabs. Instead of saying tab equal to 1, Okay. I can say for tab in range, and I can say 1 comma 11, right? Because I need from 1 to 10. So I'll say for tab in range 1 comma 11. Now I will put it inside. Now what happens since I have not used, end, right? We have to remove this new line, right? So that you get in same line. So I will remove this new line. End equal to, let's say we give some 1 or 2 spaces we give. So now you see 1 into 1, 2 into 1, 3 into 1, 4 in. So we have created our first row, which is, into 1 multiplier. Now we need to keep second multiplier, third multiplier. Okay. Your multiplier will remain constant first row. Second multiplier should change. So I will say for, okay, multiplier in range. Again, I need to have 1 comma 10, right? So from 1 to 10. So 1 comma 11. But after printing this, just like that star pattern, after printing entire row, I need to change, right? So blank print. Did you get it? Is it correct? Yes or no? Right?
Right, sir.
Yeah, we got it. Now you see, okay, these letters are dancing, right? Why? Because here you have only one single space, so it's 3 stars from here. But now it takes 2 spaces. The 3 has to move one more to the right. So it looks like all jumbled up. So we have discussed, right, how to give fixed number of spaces. So if we give fixed number of spaces, 2 for each of these, then the problem can be solved, right? So how do we give fixed spaces? Colon, left alignment 2. If you want to do left alignment. If you want to do right alignment, you will say greater than. So I said colon, less than is for left alignment, and 2 is the 2 spaces. Okay, now it looks good, but I think we gave too much of space. Okay, so I'm going to, it's going beyond the screen. I'll remove the spaces between star. Looks better? Or let's say we give 1 space here. No, again, it's going beyond. So what I'll do, I'll remove the space from here also. Yes? Looks good? So this is where you will have to use small concepts also to make your output look better. Right? We'll do one more program before we end the day. I want to find, okay, so print prime numbers, print prime numbers between 5,000 and 10,000. So between 5,000 and 10,000, I want you to print prime numbers. Okay, so how do we do that? What's the logic? So we'll start with 5,000 and check if 5,000 is prime or not. If it is prime, you print it. Then we'll take next value 5,001, check if it is prime or not. If it is prime, you print it. Then take 5003, 5004. Each number we will take using for loop and we will print if it is prime or not. Now, to make life easy, we don't start with 5000, okay? For example, okay, when you're building it, right, we have to build with smaller values. And once we are satisfied that yes, what we got is right, then we will change the value, right? So instead of saying 5000 to 10,000, I will say for num in range 2 to 100. So I'm checking only between 2 and 100, right? One is anyway composite number. I mean, it's not prime. So we'll start with 2. And 2 to 100, we will do it. We will check, we will test. And once we are satisfied with our program, then we simply have to replace this with 5000, 10,000, right? That's not a big deal, correct? Big deal is how to check if the number is prime or not. Okay, so for loop is going to give you each number at a time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we need to check if that number is prime or not. Okay, so we will assume, okay, it's called flag, okay? It's like you assume that number is prime. Now, either you assume that number is prime or you assume number is not prime. Which will work here? Now, the logic of prime number is that that number has to be divided by 1 and itself. No other number can divide it. So if you take 5, for example, 5 is perfectly divisible by 1 and 5. 1 into 5 is 5. So 1 and 5 both are multiples of 5. But no other number, 2, 3, 4 cannot divide 5. Correct? So to check if number is prime or not, we will not start with 1. Okay, we'll start with 2 up to that number and we'll start dividing. Okay, even if once that number becomes perfectly divisible, then we know that number is not divisible by, number is prime. Okay, even if one divisible happens, then it's not a prime, correct? So, okay, so that's why we will start with assuming that number is prime. So I'm going to say is prime. So I'm creating is prime a variable, okay, and I'm calling it as true. That means I'm saying that number is, let's assume number is prime, and then you test even one, okay, assumption that we made is wrong, right? Okay, then our program should stop and say it's not a prime. So now I will put another for loop to check the division, right? So you start with, let's say I put I here in the range. So you start with num. Should we start with num? No, you start with 2. See, I want to check if 10 is prime or not. Okay, so let's do it here. I want to check if 10 is prime or not. So I need to start with 2, multiply 10 with 2. Start with 2 and and okay, so start with 2, multiply 10 with 2, find if it is divisible or not. If this is equal to 0, that means it's not a prime, correct? And if it is not equal to 0, then you check with 3, right? Then you check with 4. So up to what number should we check? For 10, if we check up to 5 is enough. Okay. Anyway, after half, you will not have perfect division. Okay. So if it is the num which I'm checking, I'll start with 2 and I'll go up to num by 2 plus 1. Now, if I start with 2 here, okay, if I start with 2 here, so 2 comma 2 by 2 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So we are going from 2 to 2. So this loop will run 0 times, right? So I'm starting from 2 and going all the way up to half of 10, for example, if we take 10. So 10 by 2 is 5. So you go up to half the distance, right? And now I have to check if num is perfectly divisible by I, okay, then it is not a prime. And we know it is not a prime. We don't have to check for next. Let's say if you divide 10 by 2, we know it is not a prime. We don't have to check for 3, 4, 5 in that case. But 2 is enough. Okay, so you break. That's why you break the loop, saying that, oh, I don't need it. I'm done. Correct? And now what you do is you check. If is prime, if it is still true, then you print the value. And if it is false, then we don't print the value. Print num. Okay, and you want to print in same line, so you can say end equal to comma space. Is it clear? So it took 2. Anyway, 2 is a prime. Anyway, it's not dividing, so you can ignore it. Now let's take 3. So you have 2 comma 3 divided by 2 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So again, for 3 also, we are not running this loop. But anyway, 3 is also prime, so it's not a problem. You start with 5. So when you take 5 here, is prime is true, okay? Or rather 4, right? We'll take 4, right? 2, 3 done, then 4. So is prime is true. You say 2 comma 4 by 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 2 comma 3. That means this range is going to run one time. Okay. So you take number 4 divided modulo 2. 4 modulo 2 is perfectly divisible 0. So we know that 4 is not a prime. So I'm setting this prime to false, and then we don't have to check further number. Okay. Once we know it's not a prime, it's enough. So we break the loop, we come out and we check is prime, is false. So we don't print this. Then we take 5. 2 comma 5 by 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 2 comma 3. Now you divide 5 with 2. It is not perfectly divisible. So it doesn't go here. Again, next time it's not going to run. So the is prime remained true. So you get 5 is prime. Yes, with me?
Sir, can you repeat again? I can't
Which
understand.
line? Tell me which line you didn't understand. Now, again, see, if you have programs like this, you take pen and paper and start putting value one by one to understand how loop is working. You take, just like I told you, right? Take num as 2 and then see what happens. Take num as 3 and see what happens. Take num as 4 and see what happens. I'm taking num as, let's say, 10. If I'm taking num as 10, okay, we'll do it here.
Swapnil, I have a question,
Yeah,
right?
one second.
Yeah.
We'll take num as 10, then is prime is true, right? Then 2 comma 10 by 2 is 5 plus 1, 6. So you will have range. So you will have I in range 2 comma 6, correct? So then you are dividing num with 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? 2, 3, 4, 5. So you take 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 modulo 2 is 0, correct? So your is prime becomes false, correct? And is prime becomes false and we said break. Break means you are stopping, ending this loop. So loop ended, then you don't have to check for 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5 basically. Because we got our answer with 2 itself. Then why should we go ahead and check for 3, 4, 5? We are not going ahead. So loop breaks, we check, come here. Now is prime is true or false? Is prime is false. If it is false, we don't print it. If it is true, only we print it. So 10 will not be printed. Then you go and repeat with next number, which is 11. And 11, if you see 2 comma, 11 by 2 will be again 5, 5 plus 1, 6. So now you're dividing with 2, 3, 4, 5. 11 is not divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5. So this area will never get executed. You keep on checking. Okay, once you are done with if, then your prime value will remain true, right? So then you will print 11, right? Any questions? Now ask Shiv, you were asking something.
Yes, Swapnil. Swapnil, for the first one, right, the num, is it assigned any value? So it will start
Yes.
with 0, right?
No, 2 I said, right? 2 comma, I had 2 comma 100.
Oh, it will start with, so num will also be assigned as 2.
Yes, I said 2,100, isn't it? So
Okay,
start with
okay.
2.
It's starting. Okay.
Yeah. And now I'm changing the question is 5,000 to 10,000. Okay, I change it to 5,000 and 10,000. Same logic will apply for 5,000 and 10,000 and program. These are the prime numbers between 5,000 and 10,000.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, guys. Any question before we end it here?
No, sir. I will do it.
So yes, so best way to learn about these things is you take pen and paper and go through each line. Understand, okay, what is happening to the is prime? What is happening to this function? What is the value of I? What is the value of num? Okay, 2-3 iteration you do, and then you will understand. So again, it is about building step by step. Okay, so yes, thank you so much. We'll stop here. We'll see you after a couple of days, and
Yes, sir.
we will take while program. Okay, we'll work on while program. Okay, we'll do minute.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.